Hey everybody, it's the Last Robokai here, and welcome to the second intermission episode of the Dishonored High Chaos Run. In the actual episodes, we went through the Golden Cat, we committed a few horrible crimes against people who really didn't deserve it at all, and we managed to also rescue Emily, and we're taking her home, and we're going to show her off to everybody at the pub. Not really sure there's anything too different in the High Chaos version of this one compared to the Low Chaos one, so I may not have a whole lot to add, so we'll see. There are a few things I'd like to talk about, but we'll get to those once I get in.
So you did the business, did you, Corvo? I'm not one to speak against my betters, mind you, but if anybody ever deserved their fate, it was those Pendletons.
What business are you talking about?
Oh, grown-up business, girl. I mean, your ladyship. Forgive me.
It's okay. I heard a lot of grown-up business at the Golden Cat.
Oh, I should concentrate on piloting this boat.
It's a good deflection, Samuel.
Young Lady Emily, I'm Callista. I'll be caring for you and schooling you while you're with us.
Pleased to meet you.
As am I. Would you like to see your room in the tower?
Can I see it?
Yes, you may. You'll get to see it all. The entirety of the Hound Pits.
Good. I think I'll like it here. I'll go with Callista, Corvo. I'll see you later.
You do not fail to impress. Armed with a blade, you've changed the course of the city forever. And with the Pendleton twins gone, our own Lord Pendleton will assume their votes in Parliament. In one night, you've done more than most men do in a lifetime. I need to speak to you soon, but for now, Lord Pendleton requests your attention.
Yep, with one blade, we've kind of done horrible things to everybody.
Scrape off a few barnacles.
Become a much more horrible version of Spring-Heeled Jack. Yep, gotta go tell the old Pendleton we've done the deed and we've violently murdered his brothers in a sea of dead sex workers. Yeah, it's one of the great highlights of our career, I can assure you.
Corvo, the Loyalist conspiracy thanks you for your work. I don't know if I can. My own brothers. We never believed that you killed the Empress. It made much more sense that the Royal Spy Master, now the Lord Regent, was behind it, aided by some of his key allies. We spent a lot of money and exposed ourselves to great risk in getting you out of prison. But we did it because we believe that you're the one that can make the difference. Oh, and Havelock's looking for you.
How did he know Havelock is looking for me? That's really weird. Do they have a psychic conspirator connection here? Although, honestly, if you looked at the thread, you'd see there's at least one instance of Havelock floating around in midair, as he does sometimes.
It is a difficult time for the family. Perhaps we should not speak.
Yeah, all the servants belong to
Pendleton,
Pendleton, so...
is taking this well. Pendleton, I mean. I do worry about the poor man.
Except for Cecilia here.
Hello, Mr. Corvo. I'll be getting on with my work then.
All right, my friend. Martin's devised our next move. There's a footnote in Campbell's journal that tells us the Lord Regent's mistress sat for a portrait with Sokolov, the painter and royal physician. He'll be able to give us her name. Sokolov lives on Caldwin's Bridge about half the time, out over the river. The catch is that I'm afraid you've got to head out right away, while Sokolov is at his apartment on the bridge. Samuel can get you close to the bridge, but you'll have to find Sokolov. Bring him back here intact, and it'll enable us to make our next move. I can't believe what you've done so far. Escaping from Coldridge, taking down the High Overseer, recovering Emily. You make this old military man proud. That's it then.
Of course, before we go and do that, we'll go and have a wander. But yes, when I talk about Spring Heel Jack, I'm talking about what is hands down my absolute favorite urban legend. It just captivated me. It's like the greatest example of hysteria that people can go through. It's this idea in the 1830s is where it started, with a woman being confronted in the street by a strange-looking man who, by her own description, had claws and fireball red eyes. So it just sort of built up from there, and he was able to jump entire buildings and, well, not entire buildings, but walls to escape the police. He could breathe fire, blue fire, and he just sort of, you know, he became this increasingly dangerous and satanic figure for about 60 years, and sort of, you know, there are still little references of him here and there, like the Van Helsing games. They have little enemies named after him, and there's boots for jumping that are in Oblivion that have the name that they belong to Jack, the spring-heeled boots of Jack, or whatever they're called. And it's just, you know, it's kind of funny because this is kind of what we're becoming. We're becoming this horrible masked urban legend that's murdering everybody wholesale. And I just, you know, like, hysteria is a very powerful thing. You know, you're just upgrading things willy-nilly at this point. But yeah, I spent a lot of time reading about some of the weirdest urban legends as a child, because, you know, the best stories are the ones you know aren't real, because you know they're the ones that won't kill you. Piero just opens and closes that window very willy-nilly. Checking to see, because something funny happens later on involving Samuel's little den there. But yes, I want to go through and make sure I pick up all of the money. Because even though I'm not a cool guy, I gotta spend something. Every little bit helps. Yeah, I really gotta say, the mission coming up, not really one of my favorites. It's definitely a lot more linear than the others. I'll go into that a bit more when we do the actual video, because it's always good to hear this sort of, you know, the opinions of the other two, who are probably a lot better at these sorts of video games than I am. One of my favorite theories involving Spring Heel Jack, because, like, man, like, they thought he was a guy with a helmet, and, like, a weird oily skin suit, and that he wore, like, metal taloned gloves so that he could attack people. There's lots of, yep. Yeah. Hagfish eggs. It's good for you. I like the touch that they just, you know, they've laid some eggs there and Corvo's just swallowed them all. But my favorite theory is Spring Heel Jack, because some people thought he was literally a devil with wings that allowed him to propel himself really high and do things like derail stagecoaches, because that's something he did as well. He jumped in front of a stagecoach so that the horse would veer off track and then leapt away like 9 feet in the air. My favorite theory was that somebody thought he was a trained kangaroo. Someone thought Spring Heel Jack, the dangerous leaping psychopath who he didn't kill that many people, and really it seemed he was mostly just interested in scaring the bejesus out of women and horses. Yeah, someone thought that he had someone that had specifically trained a kangaroo to go around harassing people. It's my favorite story, because it's just like, because you gotta remember, this is like London in the, you know, the 1800s, you know, like early to mid to late end 1800s, and people were, you know, Australia was probably still quite a far away place that a lot of people hadn't seen before, because if you if you went there, you're
The Admiral says sound
probably either a colonist and never going to be heard from for a very long time, or a convict, and no one really wanted to hear from you again at all, ever. It's just, you know, a sign of the times. But, so Australia was probably still quite this curious place, you know, it was called, you know, like, the first fleet arrived in 1788, so when you think about it, it's like barely 50 years have passed, and people are, you know, it's not even 50 years, give or take a few years. So everyone's probably just like, man, we've heard about this strange country. They got these things that jump around, and they might have, you know, brought one back for their zoos or things like that, you know, because, like, back in those days, people would, like, put boxing gloves on them and teach them to box. It's just very weird times, and so naturally somebody thought, well, there's someone going around causing everybody trouble. No man can leap that high. These silly superstitious people, thinking that it's a literal Satan performing acts of Satanism. No, it must be a trained marsupial, because everything from Australia is very weird. Who dropped their money?
I don't want to look around right now.
Of course. We can give you the tour later, when you've rested.
I was wondering, do you think my mother is really dead? I saw her get stabbed. Maybe she was still alive and got better. Is that possible?
I'm sorry, Emily. But no, she did not survive.
Oh. Did you go to her funeral? Was it fancy and beautiful?
A train of carriages rode through the city. It was very beautiful. Flowers everywhere. And thousands of people wept because they will miss her.
I wish I could have seen it.
I'm sorry, dear.
It's probably the worst part about what Emily's been through.
I mean, this place isn't as pretty as the Golden Cat, but I like it better anyway.
Yeah, well, you know, it's probably a very good reason for that.
Somewhere in the basements below, Hound kills Hound, and money changes hands. She sees more than she is telling. Young Lady Emily. Poor Emily. Her childhood is lost. She has become a pawn in the games of men. She was bribed with sweet biscuits and ox milk, armed with stories of magic and seafaring, all to keep her sane in time of turmoil. She hides her fears. She seeks someone to trust.
Who better to trust than the guy with the bloody blade out and the beating heart that sounds like her mother? Who's also very secretly hinted to be a father.
I've been planning for Emily. Lesson plans are together. The schedule is prepared. We will make life as normal as possible here.
Oh, that's good to know. I'll try to make my heart visits a lot less often. But with all that out of the way, the Pendletons murdered, and the last surviving one having a bit of a whinge about it. Thanks, dude. We're off on a non-murder mission now. We gotta go get crazy Science Rasputin, and we gotta do it now. So we'll see y'all next time when head off to the big bridge.
We'll get our sleep later. Just climb aboard when you're ready.